Hello friends, in this video I am going to talk about a subject that belongs to molecular biology and biotechnology. So those who are listening to this particular video will have to have some knowledge of cell and molecular biology to be able to make sense of this video. In this video I am going to raise a question whether nucleolus obeys the law of Mendelian inheritance. Before I begin with the subject, I would like to tell you in a few words about what nucleolus is. Nucleolus is the smallest or densest body that lies within the nucleus of a cell, which is the smallest living unit of all eukaryotic organisms. This nucleolus is chemically composed of two major classes of macromolecules: proteins, a specific type of proteins belonging only to the nucleolus, and a special class of DNA. That DNA contains sequences of a particular gene, and that gene transcribes or codes for three of the four classes of ribosomal RNA. We know that a ribosome is composed of a number of proteins and four different classes of ribosomal RNA: 18S RNA, 28S RNA, 5.8S RNA, 5S RNA. Except for 5S RNA, which is coded by the nuclear genes, the rest three classes are encoded by the nucleolar genes, that is, the genes belonging to the nucleolus. So, in a sense, in a pretty large sense, nucleolus is extremely important for the formation of ribosomes. If you somehow remove the nucleolus from the cell, the ribosomes, existing ribosomes, will degrade soon, and the cell will ultimately die because it will not be able to manufacture proteins which are extremely important for carrying different biochemical processes. So these nucleolar genes are also extremely important for the survival of the cell and, for that matter, survival of the organism. These genes, nucleolar genes, are resident in a particular type of a chromosome or in a particular region of that chromosome, and that region is called a nucleolar organizer. Now, I am coming or gravitating to a different question. The question is that the genes contained in the nucleolus come from both the parents, because nucleolus is present in a haploid cell also, and sperm is a haploid cell, so is an ovum. It also contains ribosomal genes, and when ovum and sperm fuse to form zygote, the life starts. So, in a living being, the genes from both the parents are present. We come back now to the law of John Gregor Mendelism. One of the main principles of Mendelism says or is known as the law of dominance. Some characters of one parent are dominant over the other. Those dominant genes are expressed in the first filial generation, and those genes which are alleles that are not expressed in the first filial generation are called recessive. Now the question is that the genes coming from father, are they dominant as far as nucleolar genes is concerned, or they are dominant belonging to mother? Irrespective of whether they belong to mother or father, the ultimate purpose is the formation of ribosomes, and the main function of ribosome is to act as the platform for protein synthesis, which takes place in the cell, and the cell is doing fine. All the enzymes and other types of proteins are formed. The question of hybridization is not relevant in animals, but in plants. We know that hybridization is frequent. Two different species are hybridized to form a hybrid plant for some economic purposes. Suppose the ribosomal genes come from one hybrid and another from another type. They are constituted, they form a new hybrid. Now, the question is whether the genes coming from one type is dominant or the genes coming from the other type is dominant. Some people have said that maybe the genes that come from the hybrid that have greater number of sequences or the larger number of enhancers in them, they are dominant. Well, it sounds okay, but what is the proof? The proof is not existing. So the question can always arise and will remain in the minds of molecular biologists, but the problem of nucleolar dominance has not been completely resolved as yet.